Hi and welcome to Slick Willy Fly. Today we're going to make the Super Marabou Charlie. This is part 3 in my Gotcha Charlie hybrid series. Hope you're enjoying the cocktail with me. So what I have in the vise is what I call my cotton candy version. And the reason I call that is because I use cotton candy, these speckled silly legs, which are awesome. But it's just a pink Charlie. What makes this super, the reason I call it super, it has all my favorite Charlie features. It has the translucent body, has marabou, which I absolutely love marabou. It has the silly legs, and it has crystal flash. So I think we're gonna tie up another one, but a little bit more tan, orangish. And what I'm gonna use for that one is I'm gonna use tan marabou, which I don't have my package here, but I'll pre-prep. I'm going to use these gold and chrome, they're called gold chrome pumpkin silly legs, these right here. I'm going to use one. I'm going to use Cactus, Chenielle, and ginger. I'm going to use orange 140 denier ultra, which I have to prep, and I will use a gold bead chain. And I think that's everything. I'll probably use one gold crystal flash. I use pearl in the tail. I love pearl in the tail. Oh, and vinyl ribbing. And of course the vinyl ribbing will be clear, which will give it that translucent look. When I use the orange thread, it's just going to look awesome. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. This will be the last Charlie I make for probably a long time. Probably going to release this like a bonus video because I've done a few other Charlie videos already. As you know, I try to put out a video every Friday, but I mean, this is going to be my third Charlie video in a very short time. So yeah, so let's change the camera angle, have a little bit more of our cocktail. I'm going to pre-prep a little bit of stuff, and let's tie a fly. Okay, so in the vise I have a size 6 B10S Stinger, and all I've done is start my orange 140 Ultra. 140 denier ultra. Now I'm gonna just get a bead chain, size small gold, using my wire cutters to cut it so I don't damage anything. You could use size medium easily with this. I just like this size small, and I find it pretty much works in all my applications. I don't have any problems with it. So I like this size small, and I have it in silver, black, pink, orange. I have it in a bunch of colors. Okay, making sure that that's nice and straight. It looks pretty good. And now I do my figure 8s. And I bring my thread all the way back into the bend. So the first material, polar chenille. I didn't prep it because polar chenille has a tendency to disappear on my table. So I'm just going to fold it, and then fold it again, and then fold it once more. And now I have this little clump all folded. I'm just gonna, about the center of all these folds, I'm just going to attach it to the back of the hook. There's nothing fancy going on here. Careful not to grab the point like I just did. Fold it all over. And now I'm just going to get it nice and attached right there at the back of the hook in the bend. And the reason I like to do this in the bend is because now it's going to actually point up. Trimming it at about 1/4 inch, just like that. So when this fly is sitting on the bottom, that little bit of crystal flash is actually going to stick up and be visible. That's the whole point of that. So I don't know if I mentioned, I had put a little bit of super glue on the hook before I started my thread. It's kind of important for this. So you have options now. You can go straight to ribbing, You can put a color under the ribbing to make it a little bit more translucent, or you know, to show a color through the translucent body. I'm fine with just the orange thread. I think that that's a great little combination with the tan marabou. So I'm just gonna attach a piece of orange ribbing. I really want it to land right on top of the hook so that it'll help me build a little bit of body. Just like that. So now I am going to use my thread to build a little taper. Now here's one of the most important tips with this fly. You don't really need taper at the bead head, at the bead chain, because I'm going to use a little chenille. But what's really important is you have to be very careful that you don't build any extra unnecessary body in front of the bead where you're going to tie off so many of these materials. So now I'm just going to do touching turns. I can just as easily use the rotary function at this point. And you see I end up with a cool little hotspot orange there in the back. And the orange actually shines through really nicely through this clear ribbing. Just take your time and make sure the ribbing looks good. And now once I'm here, I don't really need to go much farther because I'm going to catch this all with chenille. So I'm just capturing the ribbing and being very careful, being very careful now when I trim this off to not trim off my thread. Maybe I forgot to mention that I was going to use chenille. Anyway, I am going to use chenille. I'm going to use this ginger colored chenille. Size doesn't really matter. I end up trimming a little bit of it, and I use so little of it, but I just think it's a great little effect, and it has the secondary function of propping up my wing. So I'm just attaching the chenille, and now again using the rotary function, couple of turns, that's plenty. Capture the chenille. You notice I never went in front of the eyes, in front of the bead chain. And now I could trim that off. Awesome. I guess another material we didn't talk about was silly legs. We're going to use some silly legs. Alright, first thing I'm going to do though here is I'm going to trim. I don't really need all this chenille that's sitting what will be the bottom of the hook. I don't want anything to make this fly not sit on the bottom hook side up. So I don't want any additional material that would do any kind of floating on the bottom. I want everything on the other side of this hook. Alright, I am going to also trim a little bit right in front of the eye, where the wing is going to sit. Alright, that looks good enough. Yes. So, what I'm going to do now to make my life easy is I'm going to invert the hook. And we will tie off this Charlie in this orientation. So, next material, marabou. Tan marabou. You don't need a lot. Marabou is an awesome material. Comes to life in the water. And I just love marabou. It's surprised more people don't use Marabou and Charlies. You know, traditional Charlie, calf tail. And I get it. And calf tail is great. Don't misunderstand. But there's literally nothing wrong with a little bit of Marabou. And this little blend right here of this brown, I'll find the package. I'm pretty sure it's actually called tan. Tan and orange was a great combo. So that's the length right there. I don't want it to go past the back of the hook. So all I'm going to do is capture it right in front of the bead chain. A couple loose wraps. Going to make sure that it's nicely centered. Pull that tight and crank that down. And now I can give this tag end a little twist, getting it nice and tight, which helps me trim it more cleanly. And here you gotta be careful not to get your thread, but you do need to get in there and trim that. So whatever little feathers are sticking in the wrong direction here, I end up singeing them off, and I can show you that trick after. But now we're just gonna clean that up. And that's it right there. I'm not going to give this any more wraps because you have to be careful you don't overbuild this front end. So the next material is going to be silly legs, which I haven't prepped. I'm just cleaning this up. I really want this to be as neat as possible. This is a very easy fly, but you should take your time with this one little area. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of singe work right away. Got to be really careful here with your thread. I use my needle to come in here and singe off a little bit of the unnecessary material. Just like that. Perfect. It's better. Okay. So, I mean, at this point, I like to do rubber legs first, silly legs, and then I come back with my Krystal Flash and my weed guard. So, for silly legs, I have these black barred, and I have these chrome flaked, and really they're both pretty awesome, but I'm going to go with chrome flaked. I don't know, I'm in the mood for the chrome. Or gold flaked, I think they're called. It is called Silly Legs Chrome Gold Pumpkin. So it's both chrome and gold. One leg is enough. So I'm just going to take this leg, I'm going to fold it in half. You can cut it open right now, in fact I will. And we are going to put this on the thread about the halfway mark and lay that right on top and capture that right on top. Just like that. Beautiful. And they kind of behave like silly legs, just going a little wild. And now I'm going to take a piece of Krystal Flash in gold, to add one left over. Same thing. Gonna lay it right on top of that and tie that down. Basically, this fly, got one silly leg that really wants to fight me. This fly is done with the tying portion, other than we need a piece of weed guard. So for weed guard, you can use 40, 50 pound mono, you can use hard mono, you know. I think what I have in my hand here is 40 pound mono. I have so many different things. So I'm just gonna take my wire cutter snip me a little piece. Now I take my little tool here and I'm going to crimp it. And then I'm going to bend that up. And what that does is it gives me this awesome little tie-in point. And I think you're starting to understand why I was saying that with this fly, it's really, really important that you don't overbuild the head. And I think that's enough. So now it's a whip finish. Where's my whip finisher? Right here. And one whip finish is enough because I'm going to use a little bit of UV resin. Beautiful. So I could trim that off. I could trim my Krystal flash. I like to have my Krystal flash be the longest piece, but not super long. That's plenty right there. Rubber legs, you can decide if you want to trim them or not. I like them to be, right now they're about the same length as the Marabou. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle, a little UV resin. And you don't need much at all. In fact, right there is plenty. Remember, you're not in any rush. It's a good idea to make sure this is clear before you zap it, because once you zap it, that's it. Alright, so welcome back. So there it is. A tan Super Marabou Charlie. You know, you can always trim this a little bit shorter if you think something's a little too long. I like my Krystal flash to be slightly longer than the Marabou. The rubber legs are about the same length as the Marabou. And of course, the Marabou comes to life in the water. But the Krystal flash and the rubber legs will all behave slightly different, which is going to give this fly a ton of cool action in the water. Bead chain is enough to make it sink. You see here what I mean, that that little bit of a bend in the hook gives this just that little bit of an upward, it's not a 45, maybe it's like a 20-degree angle, but just enough so that it will show even when this fly is sitting on the bottom. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe. This will be the part 3 in my Charlie Gotcha hybrid series. And yeah, from here I think we go tie some redfish flies. Thanks again. Good luck catching. See you on the next video.